You told me before, but I guess I didn't follow through enough. I wonder if you can help me with the area of abundance and
Okay.
what to do, what tapping to do.
All right. So let me look at this. I'm going to ask your soul about abundance and how is it projecting the abundance for you. And they said to have the abundance right now, there's not enough pathway, so it's acute versus chronic, which means it can be not as often as you would like. So what would cause the person to not have the acute? Again, and not enough pathway. You have to build up the steam to create the momentum so that it'll happen continuously. So now I'm going to ask, is there anything that needs to be resolved so that this momentum can kick in? And they're saying, they're saying the word indifference. There's good, bad, and indifference means you're not taking sides. But it's also the feeling of, how do I want to put this? Indifference. There's not, it's not
caring, you mean? Or?
Well, in the human mindset, when you are not identifying with the negative or identifying with the positive, we end up have a tendency to identify with the indifference, which is a interesting feeling that creates the emotion of nothingness. So they're saying, do you understand what indifference means to you? Did you hang up? Oh, I think the phone. No, there you are.
I missed that. Said something to you. I it off.
Okay, are you on? I don't know why you're not coming clear. Indifference. Does that word mean anything to you?
We got a bad
I have
connection.
3 times. Maybe this will be better. I hope.
Okay. Anyways, do you know what indifference means?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I guess maybe it's making progress because I'm not negative about it.
I gotta find out why they're putting that particular word out there, because again, I see that you're trinkling it in little by little, and that so I asked them again, what is causing it so that it only trinkles little by little, and they would go to indifference. Now I'm going to look and see if there's anything else specific, and they said, oh yes, okay, so they're going. When you start to have abundance, you are supposed to some degree, change the pathway, get excited, but it is to announce, to witness. When I have stuff that's good that happens to me, I say, oh my gosh, this is what happened to me the other day. But the old school of thinking is that you're not supposed to brag, you're not supposed to be lofty, you're not supposed to put yourself above anybody else. So when you are experiencing abundance, have you told anybody about it since you started to create abundance in your space?
Not abundance in money, but abundance in getting some of the work I wanted to get. Maybe
yes.
Being very excited about it.
Did you tell anybody the happiness and joy of it? Because the reason because when you ask somebody and they think you're bragging or you're afraid. I had to heal a big one, which was I was afraid to tell people of my great success because they didn't have it.
No, I've been just really joyful about it, and then I wonder if I should even tell it because maybe it's not even good to talk about it, about getting excited, about getting a little job here, a little job there, that I wanted in my field, and getting really excited, even though it's not a lot of money, and, scale 1 to 10, it would be a 1, but it drove me to no end. I'm on the road and going step by step.
Okay, so in those words of what you said, there's a little bit of guilt or shame, or you didn't want to jinx it, or there's something there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's what you have to correct yourself with. I don't think it's permanently embedded, but you're going, maybe I shouldn't do this or that. But when you have the two energies that are coming at you, a positive and negative, they need to work together. We're so programmed with the negative that we're going to jinx it, something bad's going to happen, because we don't want our hopes to fall. That is going to be your hugest thing, and that's why I would tell you to address that you you're afraid that your hopes are going to fail, or that you're going to become hopeless because there's going to be too many times or roadblocks. But all that means is that you're digging for your diamond and you're like inches away, but then hopelessness sets in, and usually that's a sign of that, oh, give it 5 minutes, your miracle's about ready to happen. So just be patient. But when you're running with this frequency of abundance with the law of attraction, it is the emotion and that helps you keep creating. Emotionally, people, if you watch them be upset, they will create more havoc because they got the feeling down pat about it. That's why I tell people to heal the knowing of this particular thing. So they don't want you to stay indifferent about your happiness, about the stuff that comes. What I've learned, and anything that I've learned, is that you have to train that brain to create a pathway so that you get the feeling state, which means it's cemented in the body, and then the emotions will just come out of it. Because most people, when you see them being negative, they already have the feeling inside their body. It's marked, it's become habit, and then feelings just come off it, and it creates more hell. Like attracts like. In the abundance thing that we do, the problem is that we don't allow it to become habitual in our body to the point where it has an automatic feeling. And so when you start to stir it up with emotions, you'll be able to create better. So you need to be witness as a reminder, whether you write it down or tell a friend, you need to remind yourself, because sometimes what we do is we go in and go, oh, I don't know if that really happened. We talk ourselves out of our joy because there's lack of pathway. So constantly praise, constantly witness, thank the universe, thank you for arranging, the universe for arranging more of it, thank you because you deserve it. But it's that part of getting that momentum going, because if you don't have it, like I said, marked in your body as part of its foundation, it's just going to see it as a throwaway, because your frontal lobe creates your reality, and if you can't get that thought focused as a concrete, then the glial cells will come along and swipe them away so that you'll forget. I mean, there's a whole process of how we function. So, they're saying that you don't really have an issue except for stop being so indifferent. They want you to have more abundance. They want you to learn to get excited about it, create the foundation in your body so that you can already get the feeling that something's going to happen. They did say there's one thing that they want you to address, is that the part of the strategy is about ready when you're about happy, because you're starting to notice you're getting it, is that you go into a hopelessness. You don't really notice it, but it's part of the old program, and it kind of creeps in there on that new strategy of having abundance. So I'm going to ask, how do you want her to heal it? Okay, I just put up a new healing tool. It's called the Sensory System Accessing, and now I have to find out, when you're stressed, which sensory system do you dominate through, and it looks like your sight. So do you see your hopes being dashed? Do you notice, or because see, you have to watch the certain words. There's an aware, notice, but like when you look and you see it. In this case, the eye accessing one, which is the sensory system one, you'll glow in there, and it's the way you see. Do you see your dreams about ready to fall apart, or do you see that you don't have enough abundance?
Yeah, that's not a feeling thing. That, I guess, is a seeing thing on the physical even.
Yes. And so, again, with the mental and the feelings, it's not there. But it is the sensory system. In this case, they'll tell me, like, for instance, that you're, if you were, I'm going to just start you off, and then you can go to the healing tools. But, for instance, when you think about how I don't see abundance coming in, I want you to find the right words for yourself. Or I'm afraid it's going to be taken away. It's about the abundance. I don't have the
money to pay my bills.
Yeah, that stuff comes up. So you see that you don't have enough yet, enough abundance. That might be the words. Yeah. Which eye, if you were to look only through one eye, which eye would you be looking through the most about that story of proven? Yep, I got proof that I do not have enough.
I think my left.
Okay, and if you put it on a scale from 0 to 10 or higher, and the highest is, that's how much I believe in it, what number would you get?
5 to 7.
Okay? And so then, long as you got that witnessed, and you said which eye was that?
Left.
Okay, so now I want you to deliberately cover your left eye and look through everything that we just talked about through your right eye, and tell me what number that is.
1-3.
See, now you totally can see the difference. So go through the eye accessing, or the sensory system accessing healing tool, and finish it out, because it's real simple. I got a YouTube up, and I got the instructions. And go finish it out. I know you can do this, because we got to get you trained to see that you have this. And if you feel like hopelessness is a state of feeling, notice how, and I feel like you hear it, more or less. You hear hopelessness. You hear other people doing it, and you hear it, and you don't want to attract it into your space. So do the ear, just like the eye, do the ear accessing about how you hear hopelessness around you. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I appreciate you calling in, dear.
Okay, so I should look on YouTube for it?
No. You go to mwreveal.com, and on the left-hand side is the healing tools, and you'll see it. Now, I had a full board with questions, but all of a sudden all the phones...
No worries.
No. Just a minute. I want you to stay with me, because they all left.
Oh.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask...
The couple of the callers we had in the line, they were there
2 seconds?
2 or 3 minutes and hung up apparently.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask the universe, do you want me to help her? Yes.
Maybe that's why they...
Yeah, I'm going to follow this through. Okay. All right, sweetheart. So let's go back to how, I'm going to just say, do we want to talk about abundance? So let's start off with that one again. And I want you to cover up that right eye. I want you to focus all of that through the left eye. And I want you to really get into how you know it. And all you have to do is just imagine. So you're going to preserve all the positive learnings. And you're going to start pulling it out of that eye. That means you're going to probably end up focusing on the picture of how you see it. Yep, that happened, and you just keep pulling it out, pulling it out, pulling it out, and then just 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to cover up the left eye, and you're going to look through everything through your right eye, and you're going to stare at that again. Stare at it, and just start pulling it out. We're going to preserve all the positive learnings. Pull it out. Keep doing it. There's some, there you go. Keep doing it. And what's going to happen is we're going to preserve all the positive learnings. Now we're going to switch. Uncover your right, cover your left. Oh, wait, I just got myself confused. Just switch the opposite.
My left covered.
Okay, so now look through take the picture of everything, of what we're focusing on, and give me a color and number on it.
Which I am, so I have my left covered, and I covered my right. Now I have neither covered.
Okay, just pick one. We're just going to pick one.
When I cover my left, I get a very big sensation in my solar plexus, and really like feeling.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay. And is the number there?
Well,
do you have
before, not now. It's lessened.
Excellent.
Now I go for a 5 in the left.
Okay. And so it's a lot better than what you had. So we're just going to breathe in and out, and we're going to say, you know what? We're going to just start pulling it out. And you have to make the choice of pulling the pictures, because you're seeing it that way. And you see it happening to you, or are you seeing it around you?
It's more around me. I feel like I have these bills, or there's a lot of clutter and disorder.
Now here's a question. They said, do you see it passing you by, all the good stuff, all the abundance? Do you see it passing you by?
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, I guess you could say that.
Okay, because that's the pictures you're showing me. And then just all of a sudden say, hey, and you can actually take that energy out and then kind of flag it down so that they can see you. I need you to just kind of say, hey, here I am, and make that acknowledgement, that contact with the thing that's passing you by. And does it feel like it wants to greet you or run the other way?
It's sort of slowing down, stopping for me, and yeah.
Okay, so keep it going until you acknowledge, until that energy of abundance is coming at you instead of passing you by. So as you do that,
I'm keeping my keeping my right eye covered while I'm doing this?
Yep, because we're going to switch in just a second. So,
Right.
okay, so now when you allow that in, and if it feels comfortable, great. Allow that indifference to be taken out and know that you can have it. Let it fill you up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to preserve all the positive learnings, 1, 2, 3. Now switch and cover up the left eye and look through the right eye, and you tell me, when you're looking through it, the issue that we were looking at, and you put that on the scale of 0 to 10, what do you have?
It's a 3. It's lighter.
Okay. Now we're going to...
I don't get that feeling in my stomach.
Oh, good. That's good. Let it go.
I
Now,
don't get it with the right eye. Yeah. Okay.
so now you're just going to pull it out, pull anything out that, you know, I don't need this. I look at that. See, there it is again. Oh, this is how I know it. And you're going to pull it out and pull it out. And then when 1, 2, 3, you're going to deliberately switch, which means cover up the left eye. Okay?
Okay.
Now, you're going to observe, again, everything we were just looking at with abundance, because I know the words have changed, but look at it, and you see this happening. What is there? Is there any number?
Yeah, the number's 3, and the abundance felt like a train that was passing me by, and the train sort of stopped. You know, two things, I guess, in the situation that I've been in, I've let a lot of things pass me by, just, you know, think, well, you know, I can't afford this, and just kind of keeping my nose to the grindstone, not spending unnecessary money anywhere, even unnecessary things, but not having it, so thinking, you know.
Yep, that became chronic. And you now say, that's chronic, so we're going to preserve all the positive learnings, and we're going to pull up that chronic of knowing this. That's your dogma. This is the, no, I'm done with it, and just kind of pull it out, just stare at it. What you just explained, just stare it out, pull it out, stare at it, and we're going to preserve all the positive learnings and be done with it. And as you do, deliberately switch. Okay, now cover up the right eye. Now look at every...
Now,
Go ahead.
As I was stationed with the left, I have to sense like doors on the train open, and then I could see like gold, you know, like there was abundance there.
Excellent, excellent. We're getting better at this. Okay, so now as you look...
Yeah, and that's right.
No, so now which eye... Yeah, so now when you got, I believe we're going to cover up the right eye. No. As we...
Oh, no, we're covering the left now.
Thank you. What now look through, and then the right eye, what number would it be?
Now I think we're 1.
Oh, that's better. Okay,
Yeah.
So now, is there any chronic stuff that would actually say, oh yeah, I still have this, oh I know it, so it's like my husband saying, I get all red lights when I drive. So you know, I want you to look at that and say, oh yeah, that's how I know it. And then just kind of observe all the positive learnings. You will have bills because that's just part of life. But if you can have great abundance, you're still going to get the bill. But you're going to have money and more money to be able to pay it and still have money on to the side. So we don't have to blame the bills. We just have to, yes, they're there. We coexist together. So just pull out anything that says no. Ooh, I felt a shift. I don't know about you. Because they said make sure that you're not running from the bills or the bad stuff, because it's not bad. It's just where they are. Now just remove and transcend anything about it's running from you or you're running from it. Just start to remove it out. Then breathe in and out. And now I want you to cover up that right eye.
Okay, now cover, yeah.
And then we're going to go, and then you're going to tell me as you view everything through that left eye what number it is.
Okay, I think we're like at a 1 with the left side now too.
Okay. And so now the thing is whatever's left, you got to just yank it out. So I'm just going to talk while you pull it out. I want it all gone. No sense of keeping any of it. And you just keep it up. And what I'm going to do, as you're healing this, I'm going to draw a card. Now I'm going to have Scott draw a card, and what we're going to do is, the question is, this was before she did all this healing, what was it?
Okay, prior to the healing, it was...
And then
this.
you take, and now after the healing, what has she got now?
Okay, so prior was the listening card.
Okay, So the listening card, you can turn it to...
Let's see what the card says.
Now I want you to
here.
deliberately switch eyes, dear, and just pull out any remainder.
53, that's right towards the back. Okay. Shall I read
Loud
it?
enough,
Okay.
yes.
An open heart will hear the message. When this card appears, you are being reminded that there is a time to speak and a time to be silent. Now is an occasion for listening. Pay attention not only to what is being spoken, but also to what is not being said at the moment. For the deeper message is not always obvious. Listen with your heart, not just your ears, and you'll find clarity. Receiving the listening card is a fortunate sign and ensures a greater understanding of your circumstances.
Well, that's good. That's what she was doing. She says something's not right, but she was using her indifference. And now all of a sudden she's realizing that wasn't working. And now when you do all this healing, as we finished off, now switch and make sure that, and let me know if there's 0 on both sides. If not, just keep going back and forth.
Okay.
And then, now when she finishes up the healing, this is a card, it's Follow the
Okay.
Leader, number 40. Go ahead and
Oh, read it right now?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Follow the leader. Every life is a teaching tool for others. Your authenticity and honesty are an example to those around you. You're being called to lead others by example. Your wisdom has been earned as a result of your bravery and the adventure of your life. The experiences of battles won and lost, places discovered, tears shed, and joys revealed have placed you in a unique position to be of service to others. Your suffering has been crystallized into a talisman of wisdom. Now you must share it. By being fully authentic, you'll lead others into the light. You'll be required to divulge some things about your past so that you may help someone else. Lead with love. There's another message here as well. Look at those whose great character and accomplishments you admire. Emulate the leaders you respect. You will then in turn have more to offer.
Now that's awesome. That tells me that you're coming more in line with your abundance, for definitely. So what numbers do you have in either eye, dear?
I feel like I'm at 0 now.
Okay. So if you feel like there's any left, just please be aware of maybe a thought pattern that's with it. It may pop up later, but do understand that maybe you just need to finish taking out, and you have to change, from what I can see, how you see your abundance, because right now it's just very few and far between. So if you're looking and seeing it's just acute, then notice that it's what it looks like through the left eye, and if there's a number there, pull it out. Now, when we change statements, sometimes the numbers go back up, and that's no big deal. You just do the same process out, because it is in all the way that you connect with your environment. So, as you keep pulling it out, according to this, you're going to have great success.
Well, that's beautiful.
I definitely say. Well, I appreciate that you have chosen to help us heal, help you heal, or us heal, because you're healing me too, on air, and I appreciate that. So let's just view again. Is there any number in the left eye? Yes or no?
Okay.
There's a 1 there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the 1 is related to that you see it is acute. This is how much you believe in it. So I want you to just say, yeah, I seen that. Yes, I had evidence that it was very little. Okay, so you're going to preserve all positive learnings, and you're going to just pull it out, and then you're going to switch, and then you're going to go to the right eye. Now remember,
Just keep back and forth, huh?
yeah. So when you switch, what number do you see it now?
Okay.
0. I can barely hear you, honey. I can't tell if you said
kind of
6.
breaking up a little bit.
Well, apparently, all I can tell you is we're having problems hearing each other.
Yeah, your signal's breaking up or we can't hear you.
All I can tell you is that maybe that's when we're done. Just keep doing it until it's 0. And go back and look at everything. If it has any more problems, I would say look at how you hear it. Or hear how the hopelessness, as I was saying earlier, I think that might be connected to it. When it hits to be a 1 and you can't get it down further, usually sometimes a 3 will be the same way. That means you have to come in from another angle, and for you in this sound process, you hear it around you, that hopelessness. Okay, because it's not part of your reality. You don't need it anymore. Okay?
Okay. Thank
All
you,
right.
Glenda.
Thank you, dear.
I'll get to the website.
All right,
Thank
and
you.
stay in contact. Remember, mwreveal.com, healing tools, and then look for sensory system accessing. All righty. So one of the things that you have to be aware of is that when you are using your sensory system, it is a way that you communicate big time. You wouldn't think that is about communication, but it is. And each system has an important way of looking at it. Whereas, like, it has its own language, and I see, usually meaning it could be the present or the future or the past. We're always working with the tenses. Hearing, like I was telling you, my husband would hear me be ornery, and just, yeah, he's all surprised that I can say the word again. But, you know, hope therapy helped, but now we have to pull it out of the knowing process. And that knowing process usually is through the sensory system. Now, I was thinking about what Karen was talking about, and I guess what I need to do is have just some more clarity, because I really like, now I don't know, I probably could do the homework online myself, but when it comes to the planets, you know, like she said venting. Venting was, what'd she say, Mercury? But I mean,
Yes.
if we could actually come up with, and maybe Karen and I can do this, I don't feel like I'm supposed to do it alone, but with my 14 meridians, and I'm showing what my chart looks like, it's a little messed up right now, but I actually were able to put all of the meridians down, small intestine, the heart, gallbladder, bladder, etc., and I put the emotion, the negative emotion, that's with it. We're healing the negative emotions. You know, the positive emotions we can take and say, what's the other side of the coin? I'm wondering if me and Karen could work together and come up with characteristics of certain things that we can put in a line like I did here. So if Karen would like to be on open mic, so as soon as he clicks it.
Okay. Hello,
Karen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So how did you like what I just said? Do you think we can come up with a system where we can just have it like I have for my meridian chart here?
Well, I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Because, like, venting is a very good word that we could be adding to it. So we could put the planet, and then if the planet has a main character, emotion, or whatever it is, then that would be, I'd have to show you my sheet, and then we would have to list the few things off to the side, because that way, you know, I'm all for educating people into what does life represent, or I mean, what does this represent life as. The planets have a lot to say. You know, they are an archetype, just like the templates that we have with regular archetypes of becoming a mother, the pimp, the prostitute, the child, you know, they're all important. So venting right now, Karen, what planet would you say that is?
Well, it's a combination of things going on, but it's communication. It's Mercury.
Okay, so that's very good. I'm waiting for my husband. Here we go. So if I have Mercury, so if I put Mercury down, it's about that communication. But one of the things that could happen is the way that one vents. Okay. Now, anything else that you think that would fall within that one?
Within the venting, the communications?
Yeah, like with Mercury, any other emotion, negative emotion, that could be with it. I know this is putting you on the spot. I'm good at that, apparently.
Yeah, you are.
But I know that you have a unique handle on the astrology, like I have a unique angle, but it's a form of way of teaching it that takes what's already being said, but presenting it with a different voice that it actually can be seen and heard differently. Like, I've learned all of this stuff before, and it never clicked, never sunk in. And then when I was presented to me in another angle, it was like, oh, duh. And I feel like that's part of what our voice is supposed to be, is to give that And we could actually probably create this to be a way that you can do readings. So I have a feeling that we could if you would like to do this, then we can, you know, start thinking back and forth, and we could probably use Google Docs and come up with something. Because then, you know, one way or the other, I'm going to do it. So if you want to be a part of it, then that'd be great.
Oh, I know you're determined. So right now what's going on is Mercury has just gone retrograde, and that means it's basically stopped in its tracks.
Ooh.
It's shifted direction. It's stationed. The term stationed means it stopped dead in its tracks. It's going, it appears to be going in a different direction. Retrograde typically means going backwards.
Very good definition.
Yesterday was 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So usually, like with the full moon, you know, you can usually feel the full moon energy strongest the day before, the day after, the day after.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when Mercury goes retrograde, you feel its energy the strongest 3 days before and 3 days after. So we've still got a couple of days of really, really strong, intense Mercury energy. But like I said, we've got some other stuff going on with like Neptune and all these watery planets, watery signs and planets and things not communicating back and forth with each other very well, and it's stirring up a lot of emotion. And then there's this Saturn and Scorpio energy that we're going to be dealing with for the next 3 years, and that's pretty much directing traffic for everybody.
Oh wow!
That's the biggie. That's the biggie that's driving. That's sort of the engine that's driving the train for the next 3 years.
Well, that has a lot to do with the conscious shift, because it's shifting for the better, and so the direction is going to have to be a little bit more directing it, I think, through that positive frequency than where we had it in the past, where it was very domineering. Because this structure of how the hierarchy, one is in charge of another, is literally starting to fall to the wayside. You mean, you look out in the government, you're thinking that's not true, but it doesn't start out there. It starts with one person at a time, and their inner world changing the outer world. Because there are more people that I brought into my space that is doing just that. They're shifting that belief. So I like the fact that Scorpio is helping to direct traffic. Now, if the group consciousness is going to stay in a negative state, then it will feel like the hierarchy's there. So you said in the next 3 years, and that makes sense. Usually 3 and 7 go hand in hand. Now,
Saturn is all about rules and regulations. He's the authoritarian, the father figure of the solar system.
okay.
And so he's got this authoritarian kind of personality. But because he's sitting in Scorpio, Scorpio is all about the underworld, things hidden, our deepest emotions, our deepest thoughts, our deepest secrets, the things that we even hide from ourselves.
Ah, okay. That's good to know.
Have you noticed that Saturn went into Scorpio, which was on October 6th, you've done your new show, and you've got a whole lot of new callers.
Was it, you mean when I started taking my channel, or the interview one?
The channel.
Yeah.
Your callers are up. That's because people of this Saturn and Scorpio is driving the train of us wanting to go deep inside ourselves.
Ooh, I like how you said that.
It's not only the outside, the outer world, but it's also the inner world. It's not only shifting the outer world, the society, the mass consciousness is also shifting our inner selves.
Amen.
And you got people going, what the heck is going on? And
yep.
They're coming to you.
Yeah, and it's awakening. I know that I know that I have to stand more into my authority. You know, I create those memes, and the one meme I end up creating was a picture of me about what Oprah Winfrey said, is that I used to be afraid of what people, you know, thought of me, or I can't remember how the meme was, but now, or no, afraid of who do you think you are? Well, this is who I am, and I have to stand up and say, this is what I am. I feel like that's also part of the growth process for any soul, is because I was telling my husband, the most funniest thing is, or I heard someone say, the most scariest thing that occurs is knowing that your schoolmates that you knew so well are now running for government.
Yeah, are involved in politics now. All these people you went to school with that were goofballs are now wanting to run things.
And that you know, in the bit, that's scary.
But everything's changed over the years.
But when you hit a certain age, it's like now it's time for us to step up and choose how do we want our children, you know, I mean, we've been running for that, trying to help for that, to make it a better place, but now it's standing up in an authoritarian position to some degree. And I know that a lot of us are moving to the ecosystem where we're working together. And, you know, one hand helping the other instead of this hierarchy crap that seems to really... That's why I cannot understand Mitt Romney being able to be in the running when it sounded like if he got elected, we would actually go backwards. And I think it was a test for the consciousness. Not to say he was a bad person, it's just that some of the way that he was talking about women, and the woman energy, that feminine energy, has been coming on the planet. I think that we were asking ourselves, are we ready for it? And by having Obama win, it mainly said, yes, we're not willing to go backwards. We're willing to just, let's go further, let's go forward, and let's do this together, because the feminine energy is here, and it is going to stay. You know, I'm not talking body parts, but talking about that frequency that is about working together. So when you look at the planets, do you see them as gender specific?
Well, some of it won't. Like, of course, Venus, the planet of love and all things that we love, you know, that typically is female. There aren't very many female. Some of the asteroids are female. I don't really know much about the asteroids. I'm just getting into learning about them, but they have a huge impact on us. Most of the planets that have male personalities, they're, you know, Mars, war. You know, you don't think of war and women in the same box. You think of men and war in the same box. Neptune, of course, you know, the god of the sea. You know, King Neptune.
That makes
sense.
sense.
Again. So, yeah, that's kind of how, I guess that's how they developed a gender. But, you know, a light bulb just went off as you were talking about the election.
Yes.
You're probably familiar with David Hawkins' Power versus Force.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, he talks about vibrating at different frequencies. You know, he has his own logarithmic scale. And we all know that the frequency, well, maybe we all don't know, but love, the frequency of love vibrates at the frequency of 528 hertz.
Ooh.
It's in that 500 range, which
right.
He says he corresponds to the fifth dimension. Tie that in with 2012, 1221, you know, the end of the Mayan calendar, the shift of consciousness. The election seems to me to be a mirror of this shift that we're in, that we as a planet, as a species, as creature on the planet, shifting from third dimension to fifth dimension.
Yeah.
We don't want to go back. You
No.
know. Also, this communication problem that's happening, all the ego that's coming out, is also representative of the struggle we have making changes.
Right.
Nobody likes to make changes, so we're fighting it. And then here we have all these planets and stuff that are helping us to, they're almost forcing us to deal with our egos, to deal with our inner selves, so that we can make the shift.
True. True. Okay, honey, I'm going to take a small little break. We'll be right back, okay?
All right.
Thanks. I have a metaphysical store here. And on my shelf is Power versus Force, and what she was referring to was David Hawking's book, and the hidden detriments of the human behavior. And there's a map of consciousness, which is very, really, like she said, they're the algorithms. And I was doing an energy test. Now, you have to remember, every place on this planet has different chakras, meridians, and points in different conscious states. I'm asking about the group consciousness that we're leaving and moving into. So as I say, what are we leaving from? And we're leaving from the state of what they call the level of desire, which is about 125, and it's referred to as denying, disappointing, craving, enslavement. And we are moving into, and which is here, happens to be anger. And this is one of the things that they're asking us really to heal, because we can be all over the place. Anger has vengeful, antagonistic, hate, and aggression. I have seen more people be individual, which is great, voicing the truth, which really is their truth as they know it. But as they're expressing that truth, they say it comes from a greater truth, which is one big truth. But when they talk about it, they're talking about it through anger, hate, aggression, and trying to force it, change it, be judgmental. And that is not the space that's from the heart. It's not your true aspect of being that spiritual person. And it literally is still the over-identification of being just human. But people do not like to hear that, because all they hear is blame. When people fall into that state, that means that they are their thoughts, their experiences, they're nothing more than just being overly human. Now, as Karen, or Octarine, as you know her as, we're talking, and love, like she said, was falling in the 500s. We will get there. This is from the God view is loving, from the life view is benign. The level is love, the log is in the 500, the emotion is reverence, and the process is revelations. Now, when you are individually going this, you can have your own personal space of where you are. Will you be that for the rest of your life? Some people hear me say, oh, you're this. Oh my God, I'm like this for all my life and the rest of my life? No. If you are on the evolution of how your soul is evolving, you can actually find out what space you're in, which makes perfect sense. And for me, I happen to be in this reason state, what they call level, and it's wise, meaningful, understanding, and abstraction, which means there's a part of me that's in changing it, and that's part of where my soul is at. So does this make sense to you? When you looked at it, Karen, did you find what you were or felt like you were at?
Yeah, I was in a group with a man in my area for a couple of years who had studied all this, and he says that the planet's actually shifted. The planet's already above 500. The majority of people on the planet are still below 300.
Exactly.
But there's, in the United States, believe it or not, I think the percentage now is something like around 40% of the population has shifted, 35 to 40% of the population has shifted to 400 or better.
That's excellent. That's
Now the
excellent.
world as a whole is still, way down there, especially the undeveloped world.
Yes.
Is way down there. But again, I see the election as a mirror of anger versus reason.
Yes. We are really literally mirroring where are we at on our group consciousness. And we have to remember the rings that we put out. The innermost ring is us, then we have the next ring out, which is how we're observing it, and then every time we heal and stop knowing it, which means we file away all the over exaggeration of knowing it, the negative emotions that are tied to your knowing. When the negative emotions disappear, the information gets filed away, and so then you start to grow with that soul, and moving from the baby stage, which knows it all, to the student thinking, there's more to learn, to the teacher is, there's more to learn, but I need to teach, and moving forward. So our soul is really growing greatly, but we get caught up and think, oh my God, this is, all or nothing, and that's not true. It's different spaces, like you said. All over the planet is someplace different. The reflection of this election was many rings out from us, but it was definitely showing where we are. Each person took their personal definitions and viewed what was happening. And, the question that came up from what I could see was to the universe, to us, was, do you want to repeat history, go back in time? And when he would say, women, we're going to do this and this and this to women, and yet we have women still voting for him, you're thinking, what's going on? I was talking to my husband and Jen yesterday about it, and you said it has nothing to do about, or Jen said it had nothing to do about, it was about the economy. It wasn't about specific issues. It was based on the economy.
Basically the whole thing was, I think, more of the economy.
It's also about a lot of people. I have a close friend, a gay gentleman, known for years and years and years, voted for Romney because his eternal salvation was more important than same-sex marriage.
That would make sense, yes, because we're based on those rules and regulations about being accepted or rejected. It's all of that stuff. We want to make sure if a side, because what came up was also who you're going to pick out of the lesser of two evils. And it was like there was never a third option, which is another huge thing that we're doing on the planet, is we're realizing that there's not just left and right. There's not just good and bad. There is a third option, and that is coming to the awakening of how we can actually choose differently. I was watching something, I don't watch TV, but I turned it on today, and there was something called, The Talk, which is similar to The View, with all these women sitting around the table. And I love Ozzy Osbourne's wife. Sharon. And she's, so she's sitting there, I think she's the moderator or whatever that's sitting at the table. And the question that came up was Miley Cyrus. She's going to have 3 weddings. She's going to have her wedding, and then she's marrying a guy that lives in Australia, so she's going to go out to Australia and have a wedding there. And then she's going to go to where they live, which is, I can't remember if it was New York or whatever, and have a wedding there. So they wanted one back home for her family, one for his family, and one for all their friends. And as the question was being posed, I'm looking at our Carney Wilson, and her face was immediately going to, oh, that's just stupid and ridiculous type look, which was going to indicate that that's wrong. And when Sharon opened her mouth, she says, that's wonderful. I can't remember the exact words. She says, I respect when somebody wants to do it the way they want it. And that's good that she's able to do it the way she wants it. And, pretty much there is no argument. And then everybody else was talking, and Carney's face just changed to going, oh, I never thought of that. Or, I got to quickly jump on the bandwagon because not everybody's going to agree with what I'm saying, so now I've got to agree with what other people are saying. And I'm thinking, why is it that I was on here to watch this? And it was called, this woman that came on, I can't remember her name, it's so new, but the book's called Snap. And it's those snap decisions. And now I understand, because she said there's 10,000 cues, physical gesture cues that we create within just a snap of your fingers, before you actually snap your fingers. And so that first impression is huge. The energy that's broadcasted from us, but is it accurate and correct? And what I've learned is that, yes, we have all those cues, but it isn't accurate and correct because, one, inside of you, your inner world is being shown through your gestures. But if I'm going to look at you, am I going to see your truth? I'm going to look at what's group conscious beliefs. That's what gestures look like. And then I'm going to look and do all my personal definitions of what this is. So these snap decisions that we do. So when they were up on stage, the president and Mitt were up on stage, they had to watch their cues. And I know that they're told to behave a certain way, because if your hands are open, that means that you're going to be more receiving. If your eyebrows are lifted just enough, you're more receiving and open. Whereas when you put your hands together and you close your shoulders down, that means go away, I don't want anything. So you know that to some degree we're cued to believe that that's what they're going to do. Then there was the media itself that's just going to tailspin it the way they want people to vote. And I just feel that we're not able to actually think for ourselves, and that's exactly where we are, like you said, in the 400 degree. We are learning that we don't have to do mob mentality. We don't have to actually believe our gestures anymore. We don't have to go in those little spaces. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And we're learning to make...
90 seconds.
Oh, shoot. Show's almost over. But anyways, we're learning, like with your voice, I think that's very unique, the way you describe astrology and talking about the planets, and you create little scenarios with them. They make more sense. They feel like now they can be taught and heard, whereas before it was always supposed to be the mystery, and you're only supposed to go to the people that have a mystery and let them try to guide you. But the actual thing is I think the mystery is about over.
60 seconds.
With you and I being able to just talk about it, whether it's in person, to ourselves, or with anybody else, we're actually creating an education on the planet that actually means that enlightenment is here. Well, I gotta go, and I appreciate and love you, and we gotta do the outro. Okay, so we'll see you next time.
All right, Karen.
All right, bye, Karen.
Bye.